Max? No way.
Hi, YouTube. What's up? Welcome to Millennial Gaming Speak behind the scenes with Max whistling a whole bunch.
No whistles for Max.
Let me adjust my camera before we get going here. I didn't really set this up
We're
properly.
gonna take a nap.
No, you can't take a nap, even though we are recording late again. We're recording a day late, everybody. And I'm looking like I'm ready to go to bed, which I kind of am, but not really. I also want to play Bioshock.
Born ready to go to bed.
We have one viewer. I think that's me, because I've actually pulled it up in another window so that I can see when our comments come streaming in, because as of right now, as of the past few weeks, I haven't been doing that. So now I can do that. I am good whenever you are to start, Maxwell.
Born ready.
That's what you say every time. All right, cool. Let's get going here.
I do. I'm not a man that mixes things up very much.
It's going to be a very loose and dirty show. Loose and dirty like your mom. Let's go. We will begin here in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 59 of Millennial Gaming Speak. I am your host, Logan Moore, and with me this week, as always, is Max Roberts. Hi, Max.
I tried to mouth your words with you.
You tried to do it with me? You tried to do the opening with me?
I tried to.
I don't think anybody could see you doing it.
No, because I'm dark and I could shut all my lights off, and then you just have the glow of my computer.
You really need to get one of those big old square lights that's sitting in front of me and illuminates my gorgeous face here. Shows me what I look like to the beautiful people.
Can't afford it.
I think we need
it. It's too expensive.
You're buying a PlayStation VR headset, though.
Well, do you want me to buy a headset or a light?
I don't know. Tell us down in the comments below. What did you say we're gonna need? What were you saying?
I was gonna say we should get a stopwatch and see how long it takes for me to yawn every episode.
Last week, I know for a fact it was about 25 seconds, and you can go back and listen to last week's episode. You beat that?
Number 2.
This is number 2?
Yeah.
What? We are recording late again. On Monday night.
That's part of it. So
that's a little bit to blame on us. I've got a whole bunch of coffee in me though, so I'm doing well tonight. I've been in a weird funk this afternoon. I don't know what's been wrong with me. I feel really tired, but I also feel really like woken up. I don't know. I'm in like a weird area of limbo. So
I am in full tired mode, but I mentally know I can't go to bed for a while, because after we do this, say this takes an hour. It won't, but say it does take an hour.
Well,
that gets us done. That gets us done at 11:40 p.m. So midnight, or later. I have to finish writing a story for a school assignment.
What's the story about? Tell us what the story is about, Max. Because we aren't doing anything else on the show tonight.
A therapy cat, a certified cat that provides therapeutic relief, I guess, to people when you pet it. It honestly looks like every other cat to me, but I'm writing about this cat and the dog. There was an event today at school. This lady brought her dog and her cat for people to pet today, so I was there taking pictures, talking to people. So I got to write that story up tonight, finish it. I'm done. I just need to do the last paragraph. I need to finish my Pac-Man review,
which you can find on PlayStationInsider.com, hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday, I would imagine.
You're putting something up tomorrow.
I'm putting my Oceanhorn review up tomorrow. It was meant to go up today, but yeah. We've also got a couple other reviews up on the site right now, like Galgun, I know just went up, and that looks awful. That came out like a month ago. NASCAR Evolution, I think, went up.
When is Bioshock going to be reviewed?
Well, I wasn't planning on reviewing Bioshock, actually, by the time I bought it.
What?
Because I started playing through it, and I was like, I don't know if this warrants a review because it's a remaster, but 2K...
That's the whole point.
2K Games, I guess, ended up sending us or they're in the process of sending the website a review code. So that means we do have to review it, and that code was originally going to go to me, but of course I bought it last week when it came out, and So now we're giving that code to somebody else. I would
This
assume.
guy, I would hope. I hope.
We'll see. I think there's a couple other people who want it.
I'm saying I doubt it, but I mean, I would love to get it.
You'll be too
Same
close
sort
to
of thing
playing
happened with
Destiny
Rise of
tomorrow.
Iron.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't know we had a hookup at Bungie, so I bought Rise of the new Destiny expansion, but apparently we're getting a code for it. So
yeah, we had an Activision connection that we didn't know about. So
which is great communication on everyone else in the team's part, but I digress.
This is the thing that I've learned is that we don't really realize that we're getting these codes until pretty close to release. I think the furthest out I got a review code was Song of the Deep, which they sent me 4 days in advance.
Okay, yeah, but
and they also only
a week late.
The BioShock's a week late, which I guess
someone just out of nowhere has a Bungie connection.
It's an Activision connection because it's always through the publishers.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, well, I don't know. We just didn't know about it. I don't know.
I blame poor communication. Not that I'm terribly upset about it.
That's nothing on our parts though. That we really, I didn't know about that. Ian and Mark didn't know about that either. So Corey had that connection. We weren't aware of it.
Dumb person, not a dumb person. I'm just like, part of me is
Max is grumpy. He wanted that code.
Well, I mean, I wanted to play the game, and I was going to play the game no matter what. Part of me is like, I could have saved $30. The other part of me is Bungie deserves my $30 because I love Destiny.
Was it really $30?
Yeah, Rise of Iron's $30.
Wow, I thought it was 20.
Mm-mm.
Dang, that's a hefty expansion. Are you really
Taken King was 40. I'm stoked. Yeah, I'm gonna wear my Destiny shirt tomorrow.
Oh boy, you're like a fifth grader.
I'm so excited. So I'm really stoked about it. We've got plans for the raid this weekend that'll start on a Friday. So overall,
are y'all gonna dump your girlfriends and tell them you're playing Destiny? And
I did give Abby the heads up, like, hey, this new Destiny thing's coming out this week, so I might disappear off the face of the planet. So, and she gets it, and she's very, very cool with it.
How soon until we hear about Destiny 2 after this?
I don't think we hear about Destiny 2 until late spring, early summer. Like,
Game Awards would make sense. I think
maybe a tease at Game Awards. I just feel like they want to give Rise of Iron some room to breathe here. Yeah, and then the fall's going to happen, and fall is going to be very packed. I could see a tease at Game of the Year.
PSX, if Activision and Sony decide to stay in bed together, you could see that. PSX
possibly. I don't think we get full details though until E3.
Yeah, probably.
And then the game hopefully comes out in September.
Didn't it get pushed or something like that originally? Or
it was supposed to be.
Wasn't it supposed to be like? Oh, it was supposed to be now, so it got pushed to 2017 instead.
Yeah, and Rise of Iron is taking its place.
Interesting.
Yes, very interesting.
It's had a decent 2 years.
This is technically year 3. It's been out for 2 years, but
it's been out for 2 years. But this is so tomorrow launches. So tomorrow launches year 3. Is that?
Yeah. So year 1 was vanilla with Crota's End and House of Wolves. Those were the 2 expansions confirmed from the beginning. Year 2 was the Taken King.
Now year 3 will be Rise of Iron.
And now year 3 is Rise of Iron.
Gotcha.
So bunch of new gear. A lot of the final patches went out today. People are getting in the code and in the grimoire, and things are updated. Actually, a lot of cool exotic gear was being published today on Twitter from fans digging in and finding stuff. So it's really cool and exciting. I'm really pumped to level up my character some more and get them up and ready for the raid on Friday. That's the big deal. But also tomorrow, Batman Episode 2 comes out. I'm also excited about that.
That is true. I forgot about that until this morning. Actually, you know what else is tomorrow? Is the Death Star DLC for Battlefront comes out.
Wow, which it's a packed day for you.
Yeah, and that new game mode, I forget what it's called, sounds freaking incredible right now. So yeah, I am really, really excited to get my hands on that. Plus, I feel like there's something else tomorrow. Rise of Iron, obviously. Maybe that was it that I was thinking of for some reason. I don't know why that would have been on my radar though. But, no, that's it. It was Rise of Iron. So it's Rise of Iron, Battlefront DLC, and Batman Episode 2 tomorrow as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to be double dipping tomorrow. I'm going to be doing Batman for the guide and then playing Destiny for fun and for review.
But Destiny will be more of a thing you play with your friends probably, I would assume.
Yeah,
So
we've got
your
plans
friends,
around. We've got like a time tomorrow night that we're gonna get on and play.
so when your friends aren't on, you'll be playing Batman 3.
I'm gonna do my first run of Batman. Be a good guy, Batman.
I'll probably
Hopefully, it
be doing that
runs a little
soon, I
better.
would think. I got to pump out 2 reviews this week, so I'll have to pump out a review for that and BioShock as well. But I already think I know kind of, I mentioned it to you, but I think IGN had a really solid review for the BioShock collection. Jonathan Dornbush. Yeah, he had a good review for the game. Basically, BioShock 1 has a lot of really cool remastered stuff, and they include like some cool developer docs that are really interesting to listen to that I enjoyed watching. It's Jeff Keighley interviewing Ken Levine and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Some fan you are.
Yeah, I feel bad about that. I can't remember his name. I know it, but I can't remember it. That's annoying. I always hate that. He interviews them, and they offer some really interesting insight into the history of the game and the background of the game and some choices they made when creating
Is there
it.
a doc for all 3 games?
No, and that is the issue that I have with it, is that they only go in depth about the first game. The second game, I could understand them omitting, but I would have really liked to have heard some behind the scenes details about BioShock Infinite. And I don't know if we're just still too close to that game's release, possibly, because during the interview, they bring up that BioShock is almost a decade old at this point.
Yeah, but Infinite had such an
insane.
infamous dev cycle.
It did. It got
I think
delayed
there's some really interesting stuff with Infinite that could have been told.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I don't know. I just don't know if that time that they've talked about. I think they've talked about Infinite a lot more after its release than they have BioShock necessarily.
That could be a fair point.
Like I feel like Ken Levine has talked about Infinite quite a bit, and he even touches on Infinite in the dev docs with BioShock 1. But I would have liked to have heard some about Infinite. There's really not a whole lot added besides that. It's, of course, all 3 games and then all of the DLC for all 3 games. But other than that, that's what you've got. And then the developer commentary is really the only new thing.
You platinumed BioShock 1 already.
I did. I got the game Monday night after we finished recording. I went out and I bought it, and I came home and I played it for a couple hours, and I played it the next day, and then I played it the next day, and I think Thursday night I got the platinum.
Which is crazy. That's very good on you. Very fast.
I think that's my 3rd or 4th time playing through it now.
Have you started BioShock 2 yet?
I have not. I was planning on doing that tonight. I was out of town all weekend, so
That's right.
I left Friday afternoon. I had some work to do Friday, and I beat BioShock Thursday night. Friday, I finished up some work, and then I left town, and I didn't get back until late last night.
Okay. Because I'm really curious about 2. That's kind of the one I actually really want to play, because it's the one I've never played, but I hear so much about the DLC. It's the one I hear the most about the DLC about.
Yeah.
And I really want to play that. So I'm very curious about Minerva's Den.
Yeah, again, I haven't played the DLC to that, so that'll all actually be new to me. At least that portion of it will be new to me as well. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm looking forward to doing all of it, honestly, even playing through BioShock 2 again, because I've only played that the one time. I've only ever played Infinite the one time as well, but that stuck with me a lot more than BioShock 2 did, just because of how impactful the story was. BioShock Infinite fell into that category of The Last of Us for me, to where after I finished it, part of me really wanted to go back and try to get like all the achievements on it and beat it on the highest score, but also part of me just didn't want to like lessen my first experience I had with the game. So I just kind of tucked it away and waited to come back to it. And I've wanted to go back to BioShock Infinite for quite a while now, like probably like 18 months to 2 years. I've wanted to go back and play that game, and I just have waited because I felt like this collection was coming at some point, and lo and behold, now I have it. So I'm really looking forward to playing back through Infinite again. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I really want to play through Last of Us again. So there's a bunch of old games that I would really like to go back and play. And I said something about it on Twitter the other day. Even though I think remasters are kind of getting stale with the industry right now, there are some amazing games that are getting re-released this year, and I think it's honestly a weak fall. And if you haven't played any of these games, then you totally owe it to yourself to go out and pick them up. Like
BioShock,
Arkham. We've got Skyrim. We've got now the Ezio collection, which is 3 of the best Assassin's Creed games. which are all incredible.
The only 3 good Assassin's Creed games.
I like, again, 4. Assassin's Creed 4 is incredible. I think one is good too. For the time, one I enjoyed.
I've never played 1. And then
one wasn't a bad game. One was.
I haven't played Unity.
You hear the Watch Dogs comparison a lot, where maybe Watch Dogs 2 will be like Assassin's Creed 2 was. 2. Yeah, so 1 wasn't bad by any means, especially early in the console cycle.
I haven't played Unity because Unity obviously was trash.
Unity was where I jumped ship as well because that was a busy fall.
Syndicate I rented. I had like a free rental and I tried it out and I was like, this is not for me. And I deleted it and returned it.
Syndicate's cool. I've played about 2 or 3 hours of it. I actually enjoyed it.
Don't just care.
It just kind of got to the point where I wasn't wanting to play something open world at the time, so I kind of shelved it for the moment. I would like to go back to it though because there's some like really cool grappling hook mechanics in it that are almost like Spider-Man. So it was actually really interesting from the time I played it, and it had one of the more unique Assassin's Creed worlds. I think those first like 90 minutes though are all really closed, like closed off. I think you have to. It's very linear. You can't really do anything or go anywhere. It takes about 3 hours for the game to open up, which sucks. But that's
Assassin's Creed's garbage. Brotherhood's all you need.
Says the guy who hates Black Flag.
Black Flag is a great pirate game. This is not a good Assassin's Creed game.
You're the only person who has that opinion.
I'm not.
Name another.
I'll take a poll on Twitter. I don't know anyone. I can't be the only one. I cannot be the only one that thinks it's a good pirate game, but not a good Assassin's Creed game. That makes no
sense, though. Then you're admitting that it's a good game, regardless.
It is one of the best pirate games ever. It is not a good Assassin's Creed game, and I hate it for that.
That's so dumb, though.
I do not like the ship mechanics. I don't personally. I can't handle them. I don't have fun driving that ship around. It is the best pirate
Again, though, I've said that we argue about this game all the time on the show, and I always say it to you, though. You say that you hate Assassin's Creed for continuing to be Assassin's Creed and continuing to be stale, such as Syndicate, which you rented and immediately returned because you thought it was another typical Assassin's Creed game, but the one where they completely divert.
No, that is not why I returned Syndicate. The Syndicate's it wasn't like Brotherhood. It wasn't when I put it in, they weren't people I cared about. It wasn't a place I cared about. It's crammed.
You don't care about a character 10 minutes in, obviously. Brotherhood had the benefit of playing as Ezio once again, so.
I don't know, man. There's just something about 2 and Brotherhood specifically that are so good, and they haven't been matched since.
If you say so. I still think you're missing a phenomenal game in Black Flag, though. I really do. I think that is.
I've played enough of that game to know.
I still say like it. That is one of the.
I can't do the ship controls.
I think I may have even said it was like top 3 of this gen so far. Like that's how good that game is. Like it is far and away one of the best. And I still the ship mechanics are so smooth. Like I'd
rather do the Sly Cooper 3.
Just like R1, L1. The boringness of that.
Whatever it was, or Wind Waker.
Anyway, the one thing I did want so
the Ezio collection is kind of where we left off.
Yes, there's a lot of good remasters coming out. You owe it to yourself to play them because we are in a rather weak fall, I would say, for releases. So if you haven't played any of those, unless you like what?
Shooters.
Yeah, there's a lot of shooters. That's still weird that Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, and Call of Duty are all releasing like 3 weeks apart from each other, especially since 2 of them are published by EA, but anyway,
EA Sports.
Nah, it's not a sports game, but it is an
esports. Oh,
so yeah. If you, the one thing I did want to say about BioShock on the show this week, though, it completely and totally holds up. Like certain mechanics are dated, and this, I'd say the animations are starting to look a little bit dated, especially with the splicers.
Is that boss battle still garbage?
The ending one? Yeah, even Ken Levine hates it. Like, I never
don't know why it was even put in the game.
Because he said they didn't know how to end the game. He talks about that actually in one of the dev diaries because Jeff Keighley brings it up to him about how everybody hated that final boss battle, and he's like, "Dude, we thought for months and months and months about what to do there, and we didn't know. we honestly didn't know what to do there at the end of the game. So the boss battle has never really bothered me at all, and neither has like, there's a bunch of like small grievances people have with the game, but they've never bothered me. The one thing, so again, like some of the animations I don't think hold up very well at this point, like 10 years down the road. But the one thing that does hold up, and the one thing that is so adored about that game, is the world and the storytelling. That is still flawless.
The atmosphere for sure.
The atmosphere of Rapture is still like phenomenal, and I don't think really anything ever has beat it in a video game until this. Like, yeah, I mean, I still think that's the best video game world ever created, and I don't think anything is going to top it anytime soon. So that still holds up, and that's the most important thing to me as a person going back for, like I said, my third or fourth playthrough and knowing what I was getting into with the story and pretty much knowing where everything's at, and I don't have to consult the guide. That was the one thing I was interested in, to see how that world still holds up. And the writing is still phenomenal. The world is still phenomenal. Like, playing through it again justified the fact that I said it was my second favorite game of all time. It will always have a very special place in my heart because of just how good that game world is.
It's so special to go underwater. Have you been playing anything else besides BioShock?
No, I don't think so. Like I said last week, that was really the one game on my radar that once that came out, I was going to put everything else on hold, even though I really wasn't playing anything else. I had been playing, like I said, a lot of MLB The Show, and I was mainly just playing that to wait around for BioShock to come out, because once BioShock came out, then that was going to be like my main game that I would play. And that still seems to hold true. So yeah, I think I'm going to play BioShock 2 next.
Okay.
I've thought of jumping to Infinite first, but I think I will play them chronologically, actually.
Play them chronologically.
Mainly because
it'll play Minerva's Den before you play Infinite. Not because I have no idea what Minerva's Den. I'm just saying, I think it would be smart to go in having that DLC experience.
Yeah,
just to see how it stacks up.
I will play all the BioShock 2 has to offer before I move on to Infinite. And the other thing good about that is that I do really want to play Infinite quite badly. And so I think that's almost like a carrot in front of the horse, like me grinding to get through.
Will you plat BioShock 2?
I'm going to try. I don't know what the trophy list really looks like. The trophy list for BioShock was identical to the previous game, and I had already gotten.
It was going to be identical. They just lob off.
Well, they lopped off all of the multiplayer trophies, and then I know.
But I'm sure the rest of. Oh, they did?
Added some. They added some, but I don't know if they're story related or if they. I don't know how they're really related. So I'll need to look at that first and figure that out. I would like to platinum all three of them. I don't know if I will.
I know that feeling.
I don't know if I will. We'll see. BioShock Infinite's actually pretty difficult platinum, if I'm correct.
Lady Comstock.
There is. You have to beat it on 1999 mode without spending any money in the stores.
Yep.
So yeah, that's really tough. Really difficult.
Is it 1999? I thought it was 1949.
No, it's 1999 mode.
Okay. You would definitely know more than I do. I played it.
I actually just recently looked at the trophy list for it. So yeah, it is 1999 mode. You have to go through that. That's one trophy, and then another one is doing that while also not spending like a single dollar in any of the concessions in the game. I forget what they're called, the vending machines.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Circus of Value in the original BioShock, and I forget what it is in BioShock Infinite.
Welcome to the Circus of Value.
Yep.
Ken Levine.
Yep. Ken Levine. That was Ken Levine. He actually talked about that. So
BioShock is it.
Still a really good game. I'm going to be playing them probably until VR, honestly. That's like 3 weeks out now. We're getting really close. So,
holy cow. Yeah. I'm ready for VR. So ready.
Audience, if you're this far into the show, I wanted to at least address up top at this point. We're probably 20 minutes in.
We are about 23 minutes in.
Yeah. So nothing notable happened last week. Just a heads up, as far as notable news, we have no news stories. We're going to talk about how Alien Isolation may be coming to PSVR. That was kind of a rumored and hinted at thing. Okay, like if that gets confirmed, we'll let you know. But There was really nothing that happened this past week that was noteworthy. A lot of new trailers, not a lot of new release dates for random games. South Park got delayed. That was notable.
I forgot about that.
What else happened? Something else got delayed.
Kingdom Hearts
2.8 got delayed as well to January, which I was actually totally fine with personally, because again, too many cluttered games there in December, because South Park, Kingdom Hearts, Dead Rising 4, and The Last Guardian were all releasing on top of each other. So at least two of those got bumped. And Final Fantasy was a week before that. So I was actually glad to see that some of those got pushed out of each other's ways, because they were all literally right on top of each other. So I actually like that, because I'm going to be playing Dead Rising 4 for sure this December.
Merry Christmas.
So no news this week. We're going to do an all topics focused episode, as well as just talking about random stuff like we kind of have been so far. So just a heads up there, as we're 25 minutes into the show. Just thought we would let you know. But yeah, Max, I don't know. Where do we take it from here? Was there something else you wanted to interject a second ago, or do you want to get to our first topic? Or
I've been playing some games.
What have you been playing?
Uncharted 4.
Ooh, Uncharted 4.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I was playing it kind of like middle of last week at Abby's house, and I was in Madagascar at the time, and I was just following my little trophy video guide, PS4 trophies to, get all the collectibles while I do my crushing playthrough. And now all of a sudden I'm at the end of the game here. I think Wednesday I'm going to beat it, and hopefully by the end of the week I platinum it, is the goal. But I've been playing through that again. I think it's even better because I've been going, actually, like the past 2 days, I've been playing it in very big chunks. But before, I've been playing it like kind of at a slow pace, kind of just a few chapters at a time, and then I take a break and come back later. It's a good game to savor. And, I played it, I think the first time was 3 days. This time's been over the course of a couple of months. I've just been kind of coming back to it every now and then. And right now, I'm kind of pushing it because I've got so many things coming up as far as Rise of Iron goes and Batman and stuff. So
we're entering the fall releases slowly but surely.
Yeah, so I've been playing that. I love this game. It's still so good. Still my favorite.
Do you have any complaints the second time through? Because literally every grievance I had with it previously, you defended. Is there anything that you have found your second time through that you are at least a little annoyed with? You can find
I'm
something
on
there.
crushing because it's part of the platinum. Crushing is stupid in this game unless you enable the modifiers, which don't count against your trophy.
Yeah.
So I had to mentally talk myself into the fact that I wasn't cheating, because part of me was like, it's cheating, but it's not if it doesn't count against the code. So I've been using bullet time and infinite ammo and picking the weapons I want, which makes crushing stupid easy. Compared to the other three games,
bullet time looks ridiculously easy. You can just turn that on and kind of plow through everything.
So, I mean, if I had to complain about anything, I feel like crushing's too easy now. Just because the other three games were so fresh in my mind as far as crushing goes. Wow, I've platinum all 4 Uncharted games in a year. That's kind of cool. But crushing's a little easy. Narratively wise, I still love it beat for beat. I'm picking up things I didn't know before because I have the context of the whole story, which I think is helping even enrich that. But this game is still the most beautiful game I've ever seen and played. It's also, I think there are plenty of gunfights. I know a lot of people said there weren't enough gunfights, but I do think the pacing between them is actually decent. Like when they set up.
I still had a problem with how much you climbed in the game. I thought that's always been a staple of Uncharted, but in this one, I thought it was like too much platforming for it times. And I get that those platforming sections serve to further the plot in terms of narrative and the characters interacting with one another, but I still found it to be like a little too prevalent in the game. Like some of it just went on a little too long, to the point where it's like when I think about going back to the game, it's like, I don't really want to get to that point where I know it's just like straight up climbing and jumping around for 45 minutes. Like I felt like there was
I
some
didn't feel like
moments
that.
where it was too long.
I think what's so cool about the climbing in this game is it's multi paths. It's that wide linear where there's like 2 or 3 different ways you can climb to get to the same spot. And I think that allows some really cool climbing moves and player choice there. So, even though this is my second time through the game, I'm taking different ways to get there. Also, getting every collectible this time around means I'm getting every note, which means I'm reading all the secondary stories. And that, just like The Last of Us, it adds that extra layer to it. It's just satisfying. And the depth there, especially with some of the notes you find kind of after the midpoint of the game, are really, really cool and really fascinating.
Don't all the notes have to deal with
a majority of them do with Avery.
Avery. I was about to say Henry for some reason. Yeah, Avery
Henry Avery.
Henry Avery. Okay, Henry Avery and his other dude.
Other pirates, yes. Most of them, the other pirates, yeah.
Yeah, what was the one dude's name?
Thomas Two.
Thomas Two. Thank you. Yes.
I literally was playing the game today. Yeah. So the game is still great. I love it. I have had The Last of Us on my mind as well lately. And I think it'd be interesting to have finished Uncharted 4 here and then go back and play The Last of Us, kind of play them in a reverse release order. That's been on my mind lately. Another game that's been on my mind, and I've talked about it on the show, is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and how I just kind of wish I could play it on my PS4. But
you never even beat the inverted castle, though, did you?
I did. I get 300% ending.
300%? 200?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Not, yeah. My brain's thinking of it in 100, 200, 300, and 400 because there's 4 different endings.
Yeah.
But you're right. It goes up to 200 something.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of the inverted castle, and my dyslexia, my brain, I was just like, I can't do this right now. Because I felt I was also on the crunch to get it done for the show. So I was like, I'll just go beat this. So yeah, I never 100%, 200 whatever percent.
Yeah,
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. But to kind of quench that desire to play that game, I went and listened to one of the podcasts I listened to is called Retronauts. I don't know if do you ever listen to Retronauts?
I have not heard of that show.
Done by Jeremy Parrish and Bob Mackey.
Bob Ross.
And they talk about retro video games. They're usually like every 2 weeks.
You've told me about it before. Yeah. It sounds familiar.
It's really, really good. Every 2 weeks they do a long form episode, and then the weeks in between they do what they call a micro episode. But there's kind of this whole back catalog, and they've talked about a bunch of different games. So I Googled Castlevania Symphony of the Night because I didn't see it when I scrolled through the list. So I Googled it, and it's actually under the title of Dracula X, which they talk about this essentially the Dracula X trilogy of Castlevania, which is Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which was only released in Japan, and then which Rondo of Blood led to Symphony of the Night. And so I listened to that podcast. Super interesting to hear about this game called Rondo of Blood. Never came to the States until many, 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 many years later on the PSP that Konami brought it over. But the only way to play the original Rondo of Blood legally without buying a TurboGrafx from Japan and buying a copy of the game, which is stupid expensive, is on the Wii. And you go to the Wii shop.
Of course.
It is not on the Wii U eShop. It is only on the Wii eShop as a Japan import. And you download it. It's a TurboGrafx game, and you play it on your TV. So I dug the Wii out of storage, plugged it into my TV, and I went and I bought Rondo of Blood because the discussion about this game and what made this game possible and how it led to creating the masterpiece that is Symphony of the Night was so interesting to me that I had to play it. And it's really, really cool. Obviously it's in Japanese, but the opening cutscene of the game is like this, I guess someone kills Dracula's wife or woman or something.
Oh, Mrs. Dracula. Yeah.
Yeah. Mrs. Dracula. She's dead. And so the opening cutscene of this game though has Japanese subtitles, but the spoken dialogue is in German. So
Interesting.
I guess to stick with the Dracula, kind of theme, I guess. Yeah. So the opening cutscene is in German with Japanese subtitles. And it's very, very silly. But you play the game as Richter Belmont, and you're going to kill Dracula and save some ladies. That's interesting. You are Belmont. Actually, Rondo of Blood ends where Symphony of Night begins. You remember the beginning of Symphony of Night where you play as Richter going up and you fight Dracula?
Yep.
That's our Rondo of Blood. Rondo of Blood is...
I figured that was just another Castlevania game. I didn't know it was that specifically. Did Igarashi create this game?
He wasn't specifically a part of Rondo of Blood, but he was working next to the people that worked on Rondo of Blood.
So they like shared a desk in a break room, and they would eat Doritos and talk about it.
Yeah, he'd see what they're doing, and he really liked it, and he would offer his input. And then during the development of Symphony of the Night, he was brought on as a director. He didn't start out as like the guy, but they brought him on during the development of Symphony of the Night, and it became what it was. Not to ruin the whole Retronauts episode, I really think you should listen to it because you and the listeners should, because it's really, really fascinating. But I guess Symphony of Night wasn't the direction Konami wanted Castlevania to go, like the series. So
even though that's the most admired one of all of them. Yeah.
So they didn't know. So they had Castlevania on the N64. They thought that was the future of Castlevania.
And everybody hated that one.
Exactly. And so Symphony of the Night kind of got let off the leash a little bit, and they got to do everything weird and wacky that they wanted to do. So, but Rondo of Blood is a huge influence into that. And it's 900 Wii points, so it's $9.
Rondo of Blood?
R-O-N-D-O. Yep.
Rondo. So it's like Rajon Rondo, the basketball player. He used to play for the Celtics. Rajon Rondo of Blood, correct? The guy
that would be one way to remember the name. Yes.
Okay. So interesting. That sounds unique. I don't know. Actually, I do know exactly where my Wii is, but I don't feel like plugging it up.
I think you should, because it's really, really cool. It's plays like it's set up in levels. So it's not like Symphony of the Night where it's an open castle. It is level 1, level 2. So it's like the older Castlevania games in that regard, but the game has like alternate paths, which kind of remind me of Star Fox 64, where like you can miss totally different and harder bosses and cooler sections of levels. And
could you get them all though? Can you get them all in one playthrough, or do you have to like choose certain paths?
You choose certain paths.
Okay.
But the second path is like much, much harder, and the music is really, really good because it's a CD based game. This was originally because it was a TurboGrafx game, so the music is really good. They got to do a lot more as far as the assets go and like how big the game was. It just really, really experimented with the formula quite a bit. Totally should listen to the episode of Retronauts. I'll send you a link after this because that's what convinced me to check this game out, because it's just different enough for me. I really am excited about it. I got to the boss on level 2, which is a werewolf, and I'm trying to fight him off with holy water.
Sounds like a Castlevania game.
Sounds like a Castlevania game. It is. I really think it could be something pretty special.
Speaking of Castlevania, the only other Castlevania game I've ever played, and the first Castlevania game I ever played, was actually Lords of Shadow. Did you ever get around to playing that one a few years back on PS3?
I've never. Castlevania Symphony Night is the only one I ever played.
Lords of Shadow, I actually played. It was fun, but I played it in a time where I was kind of forcing myself to play it. It was like one of those games where it's like, you should just play this just to get through this and experience it. And I don't think I enjoyed it as much because of that, because it was like not scratching.
You forced yourself to do it at the time?
Yeah, kind of. Mainly because I had just heard so many good things about it. I was like, you should just play this and see it through. So I still enjoyed it though. It was still a good game. I think the combat in it is superb. But yeah, I always thought that was interesting that was the only Castlevania game I ever really played. And maybe we'll talk about Castlevania a little bit more later with a topic. Speaking of topics, we've got 3 this week. Max, I think now is a good time for a break.
Okay.
We didn't really know we would
take a break. Well,
I think now is good of a time.
Actually, You mentioned it earlier. You talked about the VR thing with the news and Sega. Why don't we throw in the VR topic here, since we kind of already name dropped it in the first half, and the second half will be the two topics that really don't relate to that.
I tell you what, you explain to all the people what our topic is. I'm going to take 2 steps over and grab my water, which for some reason I put out of arm's reach, and I will be right back. You explain to them what we're going to talk about, though, because I already know what the topic is, of course, because I host this show. So go ahead and fill them in, though, real quick.
I will fill the people in. So as Logan said earlier, some executive at Sega was teasing the idea of Alien Isolation coming to VR and hopefully PSVR. So, that'd be very possible. It's likely. It's a very spooky game. I had the idea for this topic kind of inspired by Res Infinite. Now Alien Isolation kind of ties into that. But I was curious what game franchises Logan and I would like to see adapted to VR in some way. And that doesn't necessarily mean, Call of Duty. Clearly
something like Batman Arkham VR, for instance.
Yeah, and clearly games like Res, which at least what I've seen of Res doesn't look like a VR game at all. I'm just curious what franchises we'd like to see make some weird attempt at VR. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the same way we envision it. It could be a totally different take. Just what franchises would you like to see somehow in a virtual reality headset? I thought that would be kind of interesting.
Before we get too deep into this, I would like to mention quickly that friend of the show, Brian, wrote in our chat for this episode on YouTube, live on YouTube, which you can find us at Millennial Gaming Speak on YouTube. And he said Assassin's Creed 4, the second best Assassin's Creed game. So just thought I would throw that in there.
Garbage.
As far as franchises I would like to see come over to PSVR or VR in general, I guess it doesn't have to be tied specifically to PSVR. Give me more Star Wars. I'm always going to say Star Wars. Obviously, we're getting a Battlefront X-Wing VR mission coming up.
They've shown off some, they're working on VR games.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just the X-Wing mission or not, or if they are working indeed on more.
I've seen stuff for lightsaber stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, they did show that off. I forgot.
Like in a dev video.
Yeah, I think there's something with Oculus dealing with lightsabers.
Or Vive or something. I don't know. It's one of them.
I would love to see me some Star Wars. Please give me some more Star Wars. I would lose my freaking mind if they give us more and more cool Star Wars experiences.
I can't wait to do the X-Wing thing.
Even the X-Wing thing, which I guess is probably only 10 or 15 minutes long, even if they gave us just short experiences like that, maybe every 6 months to a year, that's fine with me. I could die a happy man if that's all they ever gave us as far as Star Wars. I'm not looking for an 8-hour long game or anything like that, but heck, a full X-Wing game in VR, like if they revived Rogue Squadron somehow, which I don't know how they would, but if they did, that would be a dream come true for yours truly. Other than that, I think the space ones translate pretty well. Honestly, I think Resident Evil was a great idea. I probably would have said Resident Evil if they did not already do that.
Okay.
Mass Effect, though, would be cool as well. I don't know how they would necessarily integrate that, but
they could do a Final Fantasy 15 thing.
No, please don't. Please don't. I would honestly, though, when I think about this, I would like to see RPGs because I think that's a
VR RPG.
There's a huge void right now, and obviously VR is in its infancy, but I would like to see VR try to tackle an RPG, and whether that's an established franchise already, something from BioWare, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, KOTOR. Please bring back KOTOR. That remains to be seen, but I think. Heck, even something like The Witcher or maybe Cyberpunk, whenever that comes out, that would be really cool to see CD Projekt Red try to add that on. I doubt they do, and I don't think they necessarily should.
Just think of all the VR sex that's going to happen.
Yeah, VR sex on unicorns. That would be dope in The Witcher 3.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how they would necessarily integrate these things, and I don't know how they would work, but something RPG related would be really cool in VR. And I know that's more of a genre thing than it is an actual franchise. But that's something I've been looking for a while that I think would be interesting if a developer could pull off. What about yourself?
Kind of in the same vein as you said, you would like to see Resident Evil VR. Well, I mean, it's coming.
I
You
mean, it's
would have
coming. Yeah.
said that. I think if Dead Space went back to its roots,
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Dead Space 1,
And then that's got those sci-fi vibes, which I was talking about with Mass Effect and
sci-fi
Star Wars,
vibes,
plus the horror vibes of
and
Resident Evil.
the plasma cutter, I think, is something that makes sense in VR as well. Like it's a vertical or horizontal. It's you don't have to like specific.
Yeah,
I think Dead Space back in its roots could be really good.
Dead Space is a dormant franchise right now, and not many people think about it. But honestly, that's probably one of my favorite EA properties. And if they
Dead
would bring
Dead
that back
Space
in
1
some way,
is my favorite horror game of all
yeah,
time.
yeah, I'd say that's up there
Ooh,
for myself as well.
it's so claustrophobic.
I can't think of many other good horror titles off the top of my head. Obviously, I've played all the Resident Evil games. I'm partial to 1 and 4 when it comes to Resident Evil, which is, I know, very outside the realm of the usual there. Those are probably my 2 favorite Resident Evil games. But after that, yeah, I'd say Dead Space and Dead Space 2 specifically are way, way up there for me.
2 is one I haven't finished. I played maybe a couple hours of 2.
I thought 2
And
was
I don't know
phenomenal.
why I stopped, because 2 was one Greg Miller particularly liked because of the story with Isaac, but 2 I think was bigger. It was a bigger
Uh-huh.
game,
Yeah.
like bigger spaces, and maybe because the thing I love about Dead Space 1 is how claustrophobic it is.
Yes.
It is
Lots of tight hallways. Yes.
It's like you can't escape.
Doesn't
And I
really
think
open
the
up until the
openness
very end in
and
some ways.
yeah,
And even
and
then, it still kind of shuffles you through a couple last halls and corridors and rooms to end the game.
and 2 was I think bigger, and maybe that rubbed me not the wrong way, but like kept me from playing.
Yeah.
So, but Dead Space is something I would love, just in particular, to see make a comeback in general, and I think with VR could be a really cool thing. I'm thinking
I'm thinking specifically like PlayStation franchises that would be really cool.
Sly Cooper.
I have no idea how that would.
Pickpocketing people.
I have no idea how that would work and be good.
No, I have
I'm
no
open
idea.
to suggestions though from
I mean,
Sucker
yeah.
Punch or Sanzaru, whoever's dealing with that franchise now. I thought of Infamous, but I don't know how they would do that without coming off tacky. An interesting one. So I'm trying to think in as far as like first person games go in my head and trying to think of how those could work. Resistance would be interesting to see come back in some capacity on VR. I want to see Resistance return in general. If it was to come back and then have some sort of VR functionality similar to like Resident Evil 7, where you can play the entire game in VR, but you don't necessarily have to, I think that would be really cool. I thought of Metal Gear initially and then realized I hate Konami and hope they burn to the ground. So I don't really know.
But I mean, you
About
could just
that
say it
as
just
much now.
in your head, like
Yeah, it's just fine. I mean, this is all
I do
total
think
hypotheticals.
a Hideo Kojima VR experience would be interesting,
I wonder
fascinating.
how interested he is in VR, because I don't really think we've heard him talk too often about it, if I'm correct. I'm sure he's probably spoken on the record about it once or twice, but I don't really remember hearing anything prominent from him. Do you?
Nope, none off the top of my head.
So I wonder what he thinks about that as far as like, this is the new wave of playing games, man, because he's always one of those guys who's trying to be at the cutting edge of where games are moving, So I'm interested what he thinks about them. You think Naughty Dog could do anything cool with it?
Naughty Dog.
It doesn't even have to be with their 2 franchises.
No, or any of their franchises.
Popular ones.
They've always.
Do I think they could do something cool with it? Yes, because they're Naughty Dog.
Yeah, and it would definitely be immersive. I don't know how much of like a game. Like, I think it would be more akin if Naughty Dog did something in VR. I think it would be something more akin to a Firewatch or a Gone Home.
Firewatch, which is coming to Xbox One this week, by the way. So
actually really looking forward to playing that one again, because we're getting developer commentary and an open mode where you can just walk around Shoshone Forest.
I'm interested in talking about that game when we get to our Game of the Year discussion, because the more I think back on that game, the less I like it.
You're crazy. I love it.
The more I dwell on it, the more I kind of rubs me the wrong way in some aspects. So it's not a bad game by any means, but we obviously talk about that a couple months from now. But
but you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if Naughty Dog did something in VR, it would be more to a first-person drama walking experience. Like,
yeah,
I mean, they could add gunplay or what they're
well,
gunplay.
they don't. Again, yeah, they don't need to. I mean,
They don't have to do.
Their strengths. Look at the Left Behind DLC. The strengths of that DLC was all predicated on not having to do combat.
Yep.
And then
I'm very interested what Uncharted 4's DLC is going to be. Very curious.
I mean, you can.
Neil was tweeting out about writing a tough part the other day. He thought he nailed it, but he'll go in the next day and rip it all to shreds. So he's either writing the DLC or he's writing their next game.
Or he's just writing a story that no one will ever see.
Quite possibly. Who knows? I do think the people over at Campo Santo making a VR game could be very interesting. I think Telltale could make an interesting VR game.
That would be interesting.
But knowing Telltale, it wouldn't run well, and then it would actually make you sick because VR depends on smooth frame rates.
Yes.
But, the idea of Telltale making a VR game is kind of interesting. I feel like this one would be one of those that would make people really sick. But if Mirror's Edge.
Oh, wow.
I
don't think we're seeing Mirror's Edge ever again, honestly, after how...
Unfortunately.
After Catalyst did, yeah. Which I was actually really interested in, and I heard nothing but negatives from the game when it came out.
Same.
Which is a shame.
I was really looking forward to it, but then the reviews did not pan out, and I was like, oh.
And it's been on sale for a while now. I feel like that's one of the few games that every week Amazon's like, hey, have you guys seen Mirror's Edge Catalyst? It's on sale for $20, and you're like, oh shoot, this game is not doing good. So I feel
it's such a bummer.
Yeah, that is a bummer because the original one was definitely unique. That's one of the more unique games that has come out in the last year last year. I mean, the last 10 years or whatever it's been. So it's a shame that the sequel flopped when EA gave it another chance, even though the first one wasn't really a commercial success. But
yeah, another game that actually does have a VR kind of mode now. It's not available widely yet. They're still playing around with it, I think. But the Go franchise on like iPhone, like the Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go, Hitman Go has a VR mode. I just think that's kind of cool because it's like a board. So you'd be able to rotate the board and move the pieces. I just think it's a more immersive way to play the game. It's not like I'm playing as Hitman on the board and moving. It's like I'm looking down at an actual game board.
I play main protagonist Hitman, and I move around, looking from left to right. I can see the entire board. That would be.
I think something like that would be cool. Really kind of weird and funky. I think Danganronpa would be good.
Danganronpa, there is a VR game coming. Actually, Danganronpa 3, I believe, is in
VR.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know it's PS4 and Vita, but VR?
I stayed up till 4 a.m. and watched the Tokyo Game Show the other night. I'm pretty sure.
I have to Google this.
It's not Danganronpa 3. There is a Danganronpa with VR capabilities coming. I do know that, unless I was loopy as I watched that press event at 4 a.m. I know that it will have some VR.
Cyber Danganronpa VR class trial. Here we go.
There's a bunch of different
Cyber Danganronpa VR class trial because okay. Well, this is it has a video.
Yeah, you can check it out afterwards.
Yeah, clearly they've toyed around with the idea, but Danganronpa is a first-person narrative, like exploratory game, and like when you enter the room, everything pops up like a pop-up book. It's really, really cool art style. But I think Danganronpa in VR would be so much fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Something like Red Gun may also be kind of cool to do.
I've thought, what if one of Housemarque's games is a VR game? Because Housemarque tweeted out the other day one of the devs with the headset on.
Yeah, I mean that's possible.
And playing it. Can you imagine a Housemarque like core twin stick shooter in VR?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think the one, and I'll end on this, and this isn't really a franchise, but something I've been following for quite a long time, bringing it back around to BioShock in a way, is Ken Levine's next game, where I don't even know how to explain it. He is trying to, I'm pretty sure this is right. If not, look it up yourself. He's done a handful of interviews on it. He did a really good interview with the Game Informer Show podcast, where he talked about this and what he's wanting to do going forward with his next project. And he's basically trying to create a game where the story, I'm pretty sure, is different for every person who ever plays it. So the story makes itself up.
Okay, so that sounds like No Man's Sky, where no planet is the same.
I'm pretty sure
but every planet is the same.
I'm along these lines. I could be totally wrong. It's been like a year since I've listened to him talk in depth about it.
Ken Levine reminds me of George R.R. Martin. Takes forever to do anything.
Kind of. I mean, honestly,
He's still working on that Logan's Run remake.
No, he's not. He's off that project now.
Well, even more proof. He quit.
He didn't quit. That's the life of a scriptwriter. You keep writing and writing and writing and writing, and eventually the studio's like, okay, we're going to bring in some fresh writers because we know we've driven you into the ground. That's the life of a scriptwriter, honestly. As far as, honestly, like I was thinking about this the other day too. BioShock came out in 2007, and then Infinite came out in 2013.
I think a BioShock S game in VR would be cool, just because those games nail atmosphere, and atmosphere is a key component to VR. And Infinite did have the move support.
Oh yeah, the Infinite had the move support. All right.
Mm-hmm. Hey, do you have your move controllers yet?
No, I don't. I need to buy them.
I was gonna say maybe you should see if the collection has move support.
Oh, I don't think it does.
But what if it does?
I'll check the back of the box after this show.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so great.
Anyway, Ken Levine's game, though, I know it is first person. I know it has something to do with storytelling and how he wants to. I don't know. Maybe we can talk about this again next week. I actually really want to go back and listen to his interview again, because all I know is that after I heard him talk about it, my mind felt like the Tim and Eric gif with the pwah, pwah. If you know what I'm talking about out there, you should. It really blew my mind listening to him talk about his next project for about 45 minutes to an hour. And it sounds really interesting. I'm pretty sure it's in first person, so I think that'd work well in VR, honestly. But yeah, so Ken Levine is kind of like my favorite guy in the industry, honestly. I think in terms of narrative structure, he's thinking way more outside the box than anyone really is. And I think he's also just a phenomenal writer as a whole. So I know you love your boys, probably Druckmann and Straley over at Naughty Dog. And yeah, they're two of the best as well. I wouldn't deny that for
Straley's a game designer. He designs game
or whatever. Druckmann then writer.
Druckmann is the writer.
So I think Levine is thinking 5 years in the future more than anyone else, honestly, because I really think BioShock.
It'll only take him 20 years to make it.
I really don't think it took him that long to do BioShock, like Infinite. I really don't. 2007 to 2013, it's not that long. Like,
that's 6 years.
It's 6 years, but they totally had to redo the engine. They totally had to create an entire new world from scratch. It wasn't like BioShock 2 where it's like, hey, we're going back to Rapture and we already have certain assets. Like, they had to, I mean, think about how long it would take just from like an art direction standpoint to design the entire city of Columbia. And like, they're so good at ingraining you in those worlds and making you feel like it is a living, breathing entity. And I don't think that's really easy to pump out within 3 years or something like that. So,
I'm all right. I'll let it go.
No, I mean, yeah, Irrational Games wasn't a huge studio either. I mean, BioShock Infinite had a pretty big team, but the other thing about that game is that he was at Irrational, which was in Boston, yeah. And then the other people who were making that game with them, I'm pretty sure, were in 2K Australia. So he was having to constantly call the other members of his team who were in Australia and and he said managing that was like really, really just incredibly hard, and that's why he quit, because he said he knew after he had finished Infinite, he's like, I can't ever. He said he can't ever, doesn't think he can ever take on a huge project like that again, because that was so hard on him as a person. He feels like he aged like 10 or 15 years during those 5 or 6 years. He said it was really hard on his marriage. It was really hard on just his relationships with his friends and family. It was just, it wore him out. And so he was ready to leave after. He left Irrational Games after BioShock Infinite, and then 2K then made the decision to close the studio. And so then now he's doing his own thing with some former members of Irrational, with a new studio, which I am not sure if they have a name or not right now. I'm not really sure if his studio has a name. His game doesn't have a name either, but they're all working on something interesting right now, and he has talked about it a couple times. But
anyway, we shall see.
We'll talk about that another time, actually, because I'd really like to. I don't know. I would, more than anybody else in the industry, I'd like to poke Ken Levine's brain for a good 20 or 30 minutes, even over people like Miyamoto or something like that. I really like it. Just, I'm in awe of some of the things Levine does from like a writing standpoint. So anywho, kind of got off topic there a little bit, I think, but for the most part, I think we had some good ideas for VR franchises in there somewhere.
So, Correctamundo. Now I think it's a good time for a break.
Now we can take a break. We've tried to extend the show to our usual 90 minutes or so this week. We have 2 more topics like usual coming back after the break that we will talk about, and you'll hear what they are in just a minute. So we'll see you back here in a couple seconds. Let's see what song Max puts in at the break right here. Okay. Cool.
I'm ready to go back in.
I am too, because it's 11:40. So we're about.
Yep. Ready to go to bed.
All right, let me check one thing real quick, and then we'll go. Wow. The heck is that?
Danganronpa.
Oh, you're watching that video?
Yeah, just peeking, skimming through it. Yes. Danganronpa.
Yes, Will Myers. I'm sorry. I mentioned it earlier in the group, but I'm in the final week of my fantasy baseball league, and if I win, I get $80 and also bragging rights over this doucher who has won the league the last 3 years, and last 2 years. I really want to beat him.
Are you like set up to
really badly? So it's a 7-day matchup, so it goes from Monday to Sunday. So I'd say for day 1, I actually did pretty well, all things considered. Right. I matched him in about every stat category right now. I'm going to have a better ERA and whip going forward. This is a little concerning to me, though, right here in this game, please. Hopefully the St. Louis Cardinals finish off the Rockies. That'll make me feel much better. And also, heck yeah, Will Myers, you freaking rule. Are you watching that trailer? Or did you turn that off?
I turned it off. I skimmed through it. It was just a demo at like some tech show.
Oh, I gotcha.
It was, yeah, it's not officially announced or anything. I would love it to be the realest of deals, but no confirmation just yet.
Oh, there's no confirmation on the game existing?
Yeah, it's like a demo, just like a proof of concept.
I gotcha. Oh, shoot. Anywho, I am ready to jump back in. If you are, do you want to start with mystery topic? Ooh. Or do you want to talk about the one?
Mystery.
So what are the 2 series we haven't played but want to?
2.
And then the other one.
Mystery topic.
Okay. That works for me. I am ready when you are.
Let me get this yawn out.
Yes, please do that.
My system. And I'll sip this water. All set. Ready to go.
I don't know what I want here. All right. I am ready to go back in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode 59 of Millennial Gaming Speak. So we've got 2 topics here to end the show, just like we normally do. It's been a topic-heavy show this week.
Chat.
I've kept one a mystery for Max. And did you say that is the one we are starting with?
Yeah, start with that one.
So we're starting first. We're starting with the first topic, which is a mystery topic, which I did not tell Max. And it's actually, I like this topic sort of because, and it kind of is relevant right now because of actually what I just brought up a few seconds ago. If you were watching in between the break on YouTube at Millennial Gaming Speak, hey, what's up? So we talk about video games on the show a lot. The show is called Millennial Gaming Speak. So of course we would talk about video games a lot. But Max, what are your favorite games that are not video games? I'm curious whether they're board games or sports, or in my case right now, fantasy sports, which I am thoroughly addicted to, which I can expand upon in a little bit. But what are some of your favorite games that are not video games? I'm curious to hear this.
My absolute favorite game that is not a video game is Clue.
Fun fact, I've never played Clue once.
No. Oh
Never
my gosh. Clue is the best. I love Clue to death. Clue is beyond shouted out my favorite game ever. It's like as far as board games and anything that's not really a video game. Actually, Abby's parents have this closet like floor to ceiling that's just board games.
Oh, geez.
It's quite the haven. They actually had like Pokemon Gen 1 Monopoly still wrapped with the Kmart price tag on it. Same with original trilogy Star Wars Monopoly.
How much would that fetch on eBay?
Like $50.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
I know there's some Monopoly collectors out there.
So they have a ton of stuff. One day I was looking through there and I found this board game called Clue Master Detective.
Clue Master Detective. Oh wow.
Now, you've never played Clue before, so this might not be as cool to you, but Clue is it's this house and you got to figure out who did it, who murdered the person, where and with what. So that's the
I'm aware of the Clue canon.
Got it.
I'll say that much.
So Clue Master Detective adds I think 4 more characters, a ton more rooms.
Is that Colonel Mustard still in there though?
Yeah, it's all the same characters plus 4 more. Okay. Like Sergeant Gray, Miss Peach.
Oh, dang. What are they doing in this house?
Exactly. Way more rooms and 2 more weapons. So you can play with more people and there are more possibilities.
More possibilities for murder.
Exactly. It's so good. Oh my gosh, I love Clue. They also have Clue VHS.
Clue VHS. It was a movie. I do remember that.
Well, it was a movie, but this is different than the movie. This is like you put the VHS tape in and then you play the board game according to what the VHS tape says. So like a read your own book and then you flip to the page.
Yeah.
Same idea with the VHS game. You like fast forward to where you need to go to.
The 90s were weird. I assume that's from the 90s.
But they have this Clue VHS game and the actors on it are hilarious looking. So I haven't played that one yet. They do have a VHS player, so like I could try it, but I haven't played that one yet. But Clue beyond shout out is my favorite. I love card games, specifically Euchre is one I really
not Euchre. Oh,
I love Euchre.
If you grow up in Indiana, everybody plays Euchre here for some freaking reason. I don't know why. That game is specific to like the Midwest,
the Midwest,
specifically Indiana. I feel like is like the center point of that game, and everybody always freaking wants to play Euchre. And I have tried. It takes a little bit to learn. For starters, there is a learning curve to it.
There's a learning curve to it.
But I've sat down to try to play that game 5 to 10 different times in my life, and my gosh, I just cannot get into it for the life of me. I find it so
about your
freaking boring.
Oh, I love it. It's like poker, but with teammates, and It's fun. I like euchre a lot. I have this Cranium game, this Cranium board game.
Okay.
It's called Cranium Turbo, Turbo Edition. I really, really like that game a lot. I think it's very fun. Cards, like back to cards real quick. Solitaire. I would take a deck of cards to school in high school, and if I was bored in class, I'd play.
I've never played real solitaire, or physical solitaire. I will say I've only ever played it like on PCs at my job.
I mean, it's the same. It's the exact same setup. You just shuffle the deck and lay the cards out. It's no different. Actually, if you go to Google and you type in solitaire, they now have like a mini game that pops up that you can play in their search browser, and it's solitaire. So I play that in class.
I was gonna say thanks for telling me that. Next time I'm bored sitting in class, I'll be doing that instead of something productive like writing for the website or something like that.
Yep, I play solitaire quite a bit in class now because I'm on a Mac, so I don't have the Windows version of solitaire.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that come to my head immediately. I like Catan. I've recently gotten into Catan.
I played that for the first time actually a couple months ago and had a really great time with it.
Catan's really cool. Someone got me Star Trek Catan for my birthday.
Oh, Star Trek Catan, nice.
So it's the same game. It's just Star Trek themed.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. But those are the kinds of things. I'm not like, I can watch a game of football and I understand it and I can actually enjoy it and have fun. But I don't seek that out. Other than football,
how much do you understand? So you do like football. That would probably be your preferred sport, correct?
Yes.
How much like ins and outs of it do you know, just out of like curiosity? Obviously, I can't.
The best way I could describe it is like I can watch a game and I can enjoy it. I know what's going on.
I think that's why football is so widely appreciated across the country, is that you can just watch it and you're like, they need to get that ball across that line, and there's the dude who passes it.
Yeah, and like I get why there are flags and the rules. And, and that's just because I watch my dad and I ask a ton of questions. So I get football. Other sports like basketball, they have to get it in the hoop, right?
That's the premise. That is the rules of basketball.
Baseball, they hit the ball. They hopefully run around the diamond.
And they try to run around that diamond.
Soccer, kick the ball in the goal.
Nah, soccer sucks. Soccer's too slow.
NASCAR, make a left turn.
Sometimes they make right turns.
And and football, get it to the goalpost. I mean, they're all.
All sports start off with a simple premise.
Yeah,
which is then surrounded by
football's the one like I know. Football's the one where I know the rules enough to understand.
Enough to feel competent when you're watching it, at least.
Yeah, I don't feel like an idiot when watching a football game. I feel like an idiot watching any other sport because I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that's about it. I like trivia.
Trivia is fun. I will say right now that one of my favorite games, if you want to call it a game, is Jeopardy. Dude, I sit down and watch Jeopardy all the flipping time. I love Jeopardy. I am signed
Jeopardy's
up.
Dope.
I'm signed up to get alerts when there are Jeopardy tryouts because I would like to be on the show one day. I do not think I'm smart enough to be on the show.
I don't think you would know. The thing about Jeopardy is you have to know so many random different things.
So here's my two biggest weaknesses with Jeopardy are Shakespeare. Screw Shakespeare. There's always Shakespeare. But here's the thing: you could study up on Shakespeare pretty quickly, I think, and know a decent amount of it.
You can read. You gotta read those Cliff Notes.
Yes. You go to them Cliff Notes. Same things I used in high school. And the other thing that I suck at, but my brother is amazing at, is all the geography stuff. Like, oh, this river is next to this plain in the middle of blah blah blah. And my brother knows all of that stuff somehow. I have no freaking idea how he knows all that stuff, but I'm awful at it. I am absolutely terrible with it.
Speaking of Jeopardy, at Epcot here in Disney, if you go to Epcot, Epcot's weird. It's like a time capsule. They still have the Michael Jackson ride there, like the Michael Jackson experience.
I don't even know what's at Epcot. I've seen
Epcot
before.
Epcot, the gist of Epcot is it's like you can go around the world, you eat and dine around the world. So you go to different countries and you drink and eat food.
That one. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's got the big ball thing there, right?
The big golf ball, yeah.
Yes.
And it's got some rides. It's got like a Finding Nemo ride that's pretty cool, and like the golf ball itself is a ride and other stuff. But there's a Michael Jackson experience there, and it's like 3D glasses, and it's like going in and watching a movie.
Do you play Jeopardy with Michael Jackson?
No, but the reason I bring this up is there's an Ellen DeGeneres and Bill Nye the Science Guy ride.
What? Okay, are those separate or is it the same
they're
thing?
Together.
Like, please come ride the Ellen DeGeneres Bill Nye the Science Guy ride?
Yes, and you get into these giant cars that are on like almost like if you took like a huge chunk out of a movie theater and just put it in a little car, and you sit in there and you put on I don't think you put on glasses, but
you do, obviously, and I would.
I do, yes. So you get on this ride, and the gist is Ellen's friends with Bill Nye, and she has this like weird dream where she's on Jeopardy, but
this sounds like a complex plot. I bet Ken Levine wrote it.
Well, she's on Jeopardy, and it's funny because you see Alex Trebek with like a mustache and actual color in his hair, and she's freaking out because some other chick is smarter than her. And I should know the other woman in the bit because she's a famous actress too. I just don't remember.
Rosie O'Donnell.
No, I would know.
Angelina Jolie.
No, but
those are
the gist of the ride though is like you're riding through different settings in Earth's history or something. So there's a dinosaur part and there's like a country part. It's very weird. And Ellen is very young, and so is Bill Nye. That ride should live on forever. I'm honestly surprised it's still there. I don't know how much longer it will be there, but that ride,
they're gonna blow it up to make room for the Incredibles 2 ride soon or something like that.
Probably something silly like that, but it is quite the treat. It is a very good ride to go on if it's hot out because you're inside for a good 20 minutes in the dark, air conditioned. So, and it's just so weird to watch. You're like, that's Dory interacting with Bill Nye the Science Guy on a time machine ride.
Sounds weird.
With Jeopardy in it. So she's like time traveling, trying to learn information so she can win Jeopardy in this dream.
It's very weird.
It's so goofy.
So Jeopardy, that's a good game if you want to call that a game. I mean, it's a game. You can easily play it at home. I think that's probably the most accessible game show, honestly, to play because it's just flat out trivia. I like doing bar trivia or something like that too. Like if you're ever in a B-dubs or something like that and they happen to have trivia there for the night, I always try to get in on that. So that's fun. Other than that, let me think of other things I can talk about. Chess is great. Chess is phenomenal. I do like chess. The rules are very not hard. The rules are actually simple, but getting good is very hard.
Chess is an easy game to play, difficult to master.
I feel like not many people know how to play it for some reason. I don't really know why, but I
actually saw some guys playing it today at school. They had like a chess table set up, and there were 2 games going on. One with a clock, which I believe is called Blitz. And then just a regular game is what it looked like. They may have both been playing Blitz, but I didn't see a second clock. But I didn't look very close.
You only have one clock usually.
No, like both games though.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. I didn't see a second clock.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I do like chess. I have not played it in a very long time.
I haven't played it either myself.
Yeah, I haven't played chess in a long time.
Chess is good. I enjoy chess pretty well. Special shout out to Monopoly. That's probably my favorite board game. It takes forever to play sometimes, but I really do like it.
I can't get anyone to play it with me. So
that's my issue too, is that, that's the thing, is that it's rare to find everybody who's in the mood to play Monopoly, because there'll be times I'm dying to play it, but no one else is. And then there's times everybody else is willing to play it. And I'm like, I don't want to play Monopoly right now, man. But I do love the game. Like, I really do. I used to go over to my friend's house and we used to play probably like once a day.
I used to, on my iPod Classic with the click wheel, it had apps, and I bought Monopoly.
You bought Monopoly, nice.
And then you could fast forward it, and I would play Monopoly every lunch. Nice. And we would pass my iPod around and play Monopoly on it.
We used to play...
So we would like play fast forward Monopoly every day at lunch.
We used to have we had iPads in high school. Everybody was given an iPad.
Cool.
Yeah, we were like one of the only schools in the country that I think was doing this. So we had iPads and we were all connected to Wi-Fi and blah, 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 blah. We had our textbooks on it and stuff. Obviously, it was very limited what sites we could access. But somehow we eventually found a website called Webopoly, where it's just Monopoly that you can play online. And when we found that, we played Monopoly in class every single day for so long. And it got to the point where we were doing, of course we were in high school, so we're stupid 16, 17-year-olds or whatever. So everything with the word penis in it made us crack up. So we got to the point where we would have themes, like we started doing like movie themes or something like that. So we had like one that was based around Star Wars or something like that. And then we had another one that was like based around Lord of the Rings. But we'd all like come up with like pervy character names that dealt with certain themes. So like somebody would be Dildo Baggins or something like that. And somebody else was Gandalf Gay. Like it was just like stupid, dumb high school humor. And we all thought it was hilarious. And one of my friends was Saru Monster Penis. That was his name.
Oh my gosh.
We all thought was really stupid and funny for some reason. So we were playing this one day though, and our teacher comes up. She's like, "What the heck are you guys all doing?" And she just grabs one of our iPads and looks at it, and she's like, "What is Webopoly?" And we're like, "Oh no!" And I like when she handed it back, we like looked down at what our screen names were during the time, and we're like, "Oh shoot!" And I think it was blocked like 2 days later or something like that.
Webopoly was shut down.
Webopoly was shut down, but I think we circumvented it later on the following year. I think that was our junior year when that happened. In some way, we found a workaround by senior year. And we're like, cool, let's play this in calculus class or something like that. So that was really fun. We enjoyed that for a while there. I'll always remember that in high school. We were playing that everywhere we went. Monopoly's great game though, probably one of my favorite board games. I'll also give a shout out to, I've got a couple others here. I'll try to get through them pretty quickly. I used to play HeroClix when I was a kid. Awesome game, love it. I haven't not played it in probably
what is that?
5. It's a board game where you have to purchase characters and things like that. It's centered around superheroes. So your characters, so you'll have like a Wolverine character and he'll have certain health points and attack points and life points and all this other stuff with special abilities. And so you'll put together a team. Like each player has like a amount given. So like you can combine a team that's worth 500 points. And so you can put together a team that's worth 500 points. And so you can, like a random thug will be worth 10 points that you can add on your team, but he sucks. Or you can add Superman to your team, but he's worth like 250 or something like that. So you basically just put together different teams of characters. You keep buying packs at the comic book store and getting new characters. And so I spent a lot of money on that when I was a kid.
A lot of money.
I spent a lot of money on that. And then there was a Star Wars version as well, which wasn't HeroClix, but it was called Star Wars Miniatures. It eventually went under, I think, the company that owned it went under or something like that. WizKids, I think, went under. Maybe I'm totally wrong with that. Bottom line, they eventually stopped manufacturing it. And so I still have a bunch of those old pieces, though. I loved playing that game when I was a kid. I used to go to Gen Con and play it, which is the biggest gaming convention in the country for board games, at least. And it takes place in Indianapolis every year. The town gets overrun by a bunch of stinking nerds. I used to go to Gen Con and play those 2 games, and they were a lot of fun. I had a lot of good times with them. I've been playing a bunch of games with friends recently. Dungeons and Dragons is awesome. Dungeons and Dragons is awesome. I started playing this over the summer with some friends, and it is so fun. I really love Dungeons and Dragons. Just trying to go through some quick ones here that I'm thinking of. Because I feel like we've been talking about this for a while. Sports, though, obviously, I'm a huge sports fan. I'd say sports. Maybe like my preferred, like if I could like only choose one thing in the world to like have as like baseball. A hobby, like it would be baseball specifically, but like sports as a whole, I really enjoy. Baseball specifically is like just phenomenal. It's like the best sport by a flipping mile. Like nothing else touches it. And I wish people understood that. Like it is so perfect as a game for a litany of reasons that I could talk about for an hour.
America's pastime.
It's perfect. It's really like a perfect game in my opinion, even though people would say, oh, well, umpires call the strike zone and stuff like that. And it's an imperfect game because you leave it into the hands of umpires who are imperfect. And that's part of the game though. That like I enjoy that aspect of it. Baseball though, seriously phenomenal. And then as I said earlier that I would touch on fantasy sports. Oh my freaking gosh, I'm addicted to fantasy games. Like it's not good. If I ever got in those daily fantasy leagues where you're spending money to get in and try to win money, like that would be the
my
end of
thing
my
with fantasy leagues is I don't know any of the players. I'm awful with names. Like I don't know anyone. So like I would be blindly picking people.
Well,
I don't know stats. I don't know people.
See, a bunch of people do fantasy football, and that one's really easy. And fantasy football is dumb luck. Like people who think their skill to fantasy football are insane. Like it is all just stupid, dumb luck that you have to pray your player doesn't get injured. Like my biggest thing with fantasy football is that even this year when I drafted my team, like the entire first round, like you don't feel good about any first round pick you're getting. And that's supposed to be like the upper echelon player. Like you're, at least I do. Every player I take in fantasy football, it's like, I'll take this guy, man. I hope he produces though. Like you never feel good about your first or second round pick really in fantasy football. Like you know they might be good, but fantasy football is so inconsistent. A guy can have an incredible year and then fall off the face of the earth and no one can ever hear from him again, especially running backs. So fantasy football is weird. Fantasy baseball is the truth. And honestly, that's probably my favorite game. Like if I was to say, like, obviously I love baseball, but dude, fantasy baseball is a marathon. It's so hard for me to find people to play with because it is such a marathon. You are playing consistently every single day, adjusting your roster day in, day out, every day.
Sounds like a job.
From April to October. It's a freaking job. It is. And if you're in keeper leagues, like I have been for the past 2 years, this means your players roll over every year. So not only are you playing to win the one season, but you also may want to stash players currently. So you may want to forego your chances of winning this year and instead stash players who you think would be good next year in the hopes that they will make your team better next year, even though you're then immediately sacrificing the potential that your team has currently. So you have the same lineup every year. There is a turnover to it. And it's an interesting aspect to leagues because you know that you can't just redraft every single year. So I've been with the team I have currently, I've had them for 2 years. As of right now, I'm in the championship with them. I could win this week. We'll see. They're off to a pretty solid start this week. I would really like to win. Like I would really, really like to win just as far as like bragging rights go.
Winning is fun.
When I'm really competitive as a whole. Like I am an incredibly competitive person. Fantasy baseball brings out a dark, dark side of me that is where I'm at my most competitive. And I don't mind like tooting my horn about this either. Like I am really freaking good at fantasy baseball. The hardest thing about this league that I'm currently in is that I didn't get in on the ground floor. I had to inherit somebody else's league who drafted initially for me. So essentially I got a team full of guys that I didn't necessarily want. And from that point, I had to just make a ton of trades and waiver acquisitions to get guys that I did want on my roster. So it has been a really long process for me to get where I'm at. And I'm really happy that I'm in the championship and I'm trying to unseed our 2-time champ who's had a great team from the beginning. And he's actually, I don't think his team is that good. And he's gotten totally lucky this year. Like he has had the stupidest luck. Everybody he adds on his team somehow immediately goes off, which doesn't make a bit of sense. And I know you're yawning, so I know I'm boring you, but
not boring me. I yawn no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. But fantasy baseball, honestly, like it brings out a incredibly competitive side of me. Like if you're listening to this out there and you like fantasy baseball, please let me know because I'm probably starting a new keeper league next year if I had to guess, and we will be looking for new people.
Just tweet at Moreman12.
Just tweet at Moreman12 and we can get on the ground floor on a new keeper league next year that I'm wanting to start. But seriously, fantasy baseball, like I'm really freaking good at it. Like if I get in on the ground floor of a fantasy baseball league, I've never lost, which is kind of insane because you have to get really lucky in a lot of aspects, but you can't also be good. There's a level of skill to fantasy baseball, unlike fantasy football, where you just kind of plug some guys in and hope they do well during 1 week. Like fantasy baseball, it is a long haul, and you do have to be strapped in for the long haul, and you do have to be playing the long game. You may suck for like a couple weeks in a row, but as long as you continue to keep your ducks in a line for the long term, like you can have a good team. So it's really good. I really like fantasy baseball like a lot, and I'm never going to touch the daily leagues because they will They will end my bank account really quickly, and it's kind of gambling. But anyway, we were going to do 2 topics. Max, do you want to do 2 topics?
I was going to say, I think we should cut it here because
cut it?
It's way past my bedtime and I still got stuff I got to do.
That's what I figured. So
yeah,
we're going to cut it here. We will have another topic, or we actually have 2 more topics that we will be rolling over to next week. We were going to discuss one more of them here, but I have another one as well that we'll save for another time. But Max, that's episode 59. We just kind of talked about a bunch of random stuff the whole time, and I went on.
It was conversational.
I went on a nice rant about fantasy baseball, which I always enjoy doing. So seriously, if you're listening, you want to join my fantasy baseball league next year, please join me. I would appreciate it. It'd be a lot of fun. I think we'd enjoy it. I know Kevin likes baseball, but I don't know if he knows anybody not on the Cubs roster. I'm sure he'll tweet at me after he hears this.
He knows baseball pretty well. At least I think so. I don't know if he plays fantasy leagues or would be into that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I know a lot of people who are like, dude, I love baseball. It's like, do you want to play this every single day from April to September? And they're like, oh, I don't know about that. And so it's finding somebody who's willing to commit more than anything. But anyway, so that's some analog games, I guess you could call, that we enjoy playing that aren't video games, even though I guess not all of them were analog. Bop It's also a really good game. If you ever played Bop It, you could twist it as well, and you can pull it. It's a good game.
Spin it.
That's a game. Spin it. No, that's Bop It Extreme. And then you got flick it. You got that as well. Man, getting a little carried away. Thank you for listening to episode 59 of Millennial Gaming Speak. I know we just kind of ranted this episode, but there was no news. So this is what we do when there is no news. We kind of have a nice conversational episode and talk about a bunch of random things, and Max ends up yawning. So
I yawn no matter what.
Yeah, you are going to yawn no matter what, though, so that's fine. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to email us, you can email us at mgspodcast@gmail.com, and we will answer any questions, comments, or concerns you may have with the show. We would love to hear from you. What are your favorite games that aren't video games? Please let us know. And you can also tweet those to us at mgspodcast. You can also tweet them at me personally, at moreman12, and you can tweet me and say, hey, I'd like to join your fantasy baseball league next year. And I will say, cool, give me your email address, and let's figure this out, Jack O. And you can also email Max and just say, like, hey, you're a big old dummy because you don't like Assassin's Creed 4. What the heck is wrong with you? And he is at Max the White. You can also find us on YouTube, as I've mentioned a couple different times this episode, at Millennial Gaming Speak. Please, if you watch us through YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a whole bunch. Speaking of helping us out a whole bunch, if you listen to the show through iTunes, if you could leave a review, 5 stars preferably, it helps us out a whole bunch. Gets the show out to more ears. More ears means, I don't know, I'm happy, I guess. I don't know. More ears is a good thing for us, at least. So if you like the show and you like the content we produce, if you could please give us a review on iTunes, that would be greatly appreciated. Max, I think that's it for this episode.
That would be the wrap.
That is the wrap. So,
the skinny.
For Max and myself, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully we get some more news. We'll be back next week with episode 60. I assume at the very least we will hear what Max thinks about Rise of Iron, and I may take a quick 10-minute nap. So please come back next week. Hopefully we will be recording on our usual Sunday date. If you do watch us live when we record on YouTube, we usually tweet the link out beforehand. But you can find us back next week with episode 60. Until then, have a great week. We love you. Bye-bye.
Adios.